Welcome to Reflecting Light. This podcast is about feeling the world with light by exploring myth, ancient texts, scripture, great works of world literature, and the works of artists, past and present, for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. And now, here is your host, Mandy Green.
Hello and welcome to Reflecting Light. Thank you for hanging with me. I had to get on today and talk about Easter. I had all of these grand plans, thus my road to hell, as you well know, to speak about Easter and each day of Holy Week. And I think what I'd like to do is backtrack out of Holy Week in reverse order to address each of those things I wanted to discuss. Because sometimes when we approach a holy holiday, the holiday comes and goes, and then I wonder what happens in the days after. It kind of just gets dropped. And so that's going to be my reasoning for backtracking out of Holy Week. But today I feel really, really inspired to get on here and talk about the Saturday, the Sabbath in the Jewish calendar, before Resurrection Sunday. And I'm going to call this podcast The Saturdays of Our Lives. Now, when I was a young teenager, there was a soap opera called The Days of Our Lives, like sands through the hourglass. And I would have to sneak over to my friend's house to watch it. And it was very dramatic, of course, and you were just so caught up in the stories of Bo and Hope and Roman and Marlena. But they would always leave you with a cliffhanger on the weekend. You would never know what was going to happen, and you'd have to survive through the weekend until you saw some type of resolution on the next Monday. And I've been reflecting on this whole Saturday of our life. I had an uncle pass away this last week, and he was buried in St. George on Good Friday. And I was thinking, what a perfect day to bury someone. But then you're going to wake up on Saturday, and it's going to be a Saturday. And me, for example, I have to drive home on Saturday, and I have to pick up the pieces of my life on Saturday, and I have to think about Easter on Sunday, and the weather's been crappy, and so many different things. And I thought about our time and place in history, and I really feel like we are in the Saturday of history. And I wanted to address this before I talk about Resurrection Sunday. Now, for some reason around my home, I've noticed that we get lots of seagulls on Sundays. And I've been trying to figure out, maybe one of you could inform me on this, but I've been trying to figure out why there's so many seagulls on Sundays. Why is that the only day I see them flying? And there's flocks of them that fly on Sunday. And I've been contemplating life and death, and how death gives our lives meaning, and how life gives death meaning. And the seagulls, I was thinking, of course, about my favorite fictional work that speaks so much about truth, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. In the final scenes of The Return of the King, Frodo travels with Sam and Merry and Pippin and Elrond and Galadriel and Celeborn and Gandalf to the Grey Havens, where those who have touched the ring or had a touch of immortality enter into the last boat to sail into the west. Frodo, who's never recovered from what his quest for the ring cost him. I love the transformation of Frodo's face as he's walking to the boat. He's very pale, he's stooped, he looks very unhealthy. And then as he steps on the boat, he turns around and he has this beautiful glow, and his eyes are bright again as he's able to sail into the west. But I feel so much like Sam and Mary and Pippin, who then have to turn around and go back home and live our lives in this Saturday, in this time between knowing. And I love the words of this song. For my funeral, I'm going to ask my brother to play it, and hopefully someone with a beautiful female voice to sing it. But let me read you the words of this song. Lay down your sweet and weary head. The night is falling. You have come to journey's end. Sleep now and dream of the ones who came before. They are calling from across the distant shore. Why do you weep? What are these tears upon your face? Soon you will see all your fears will pass away safe in my arms. You're only sleeping. What can you see on the horizon? Why do the white gulls call? Across the sea a pale moon rises. The ships have come to carry you home. And all will turn to silver glass, a light on the water, all souls pass. Hope fades into the world of night, through shadows falling out of memory and time. Don't say we have come now to the end. White shores are calling. You and I will meet again, and you'll be here in my arms, just sleeping, and all will turn to silver glass, a light on the water, gray ships pass into the west. Well, this is what we are left to in the Saturdays of our lives. This wait in the uncertainty. This wait where we feel those who have gone before us have paved a path and show us there is life after this, but it is without certainty for so many of us. We are required to wait in that certainty as we try to hope and trust in all that heaven has given us. In her book, Have a Beautiful, Terrible Day, Kate Bowler has done a masterful job of walking us through the practice of Lent. And here is her reflection and meditation for Holy Saturday on week 6 of Lent, aka the day before Resurrection Sunday. Nothing happened. Have I got that right? Nothing happened at the cross. We're still here in the mess and confusion. It's all over and we're all left to ourselves. Can't such be the narrative when we remember your words? In a little while you will see me no more. Again a little while and you will see me. Okay, but in the meantime, where are you, Lord? It is so quiet for us here. We who are still overwhelmed by the darkness of what evil accomplishes. We who are still overwhelmed by the darkness of what evil accomplishes. And for so many, life just goes on. But for us who sit in the valley of the shadow of death, we cry out, where are you? But then we remember something. Maybe it was in prophetic words of old, or maybe it was something in your look, or in your touch when you healed, or forgave, or stood there for hours teaching, or gathering up the small and weak and sick in your arms. And somehow we know that darkness is but light to you, and that even now you are still on the move, moving on down, to the depths of every hell, to free us to spend eternity with you. Jesus, you came down from heaven. Yes, but then you kept coming down to the sick and the poor, the lost and forsaken, down to the utterly brokenhearted. because that's who you are. That's what you do. So we wait. As I've been pondering some of the truths and some of the experience of the Saturdays of our lives, I've been thinking about answers, and I've been thinking about prayer. And it struck me, I was sitting in the temple yesterday, and it struck me that in our current world, we search for quote unquote answers to prayer. But because we have such a Western way of looking at learning, an answer seems to connote this readily available rote answer that solves problems or gives us the answer to our question. But as I was reflecting and sitting there, I felt prompted that answers have far more to do with presence than they do with getting the information you wanted. For example, if you call out to the Lord, you're hoping that the Lord will answer. You're hoping that there will be some action or sound or movement that will show you that your petition, your cry, your lament, your questions, your doubts, your struggles, your failures, the things that are desperately hard for you, that they're seen and recognized, that they're heard. And perhaps the answers have far more to do with this engaging dialogue than with having this simple answer to our prayer. And for me, in the Saturdays of my life, I think the most helpful and beautiful answer is the answer that simply says, I'm here. Well, in the Saturdays of our lives, I'm here is hard to hear. I'm not even sure it's said, because there seems to be silence in the heavens for that Holy Saturday. And I feel that's the answer we seek most, but the answer that most eludes us in some of the Saturdays of our lives. And so we must persevere in the silence. We wait in the silence. And hopefully there's something that answers in the silence, even on the Saturdays of our lives. In the epistle to the Hebrews, we read in chapter 2, and you have forgotten the exhortation that addresses you as children. My child, do not regard lightly the discipline of the Lord, or lose heart when you are punished by him. I wouldn't say punished, I would say tested, in the sense of having a tremendous amount of pressure exerted upon you. For the Lord disciplines those whom he loves and chastises every child whom he accepts. Endure trials for the sake of discipline. God is treating you as children. For what child is there whom a parent does not discipline? If you do not have that discipline in which all children share, then you are illegitimate and not his children. Moreover, we had human parents to discipline us and we respected them. Should we not be even more willing to be subject to the Father and Mother of spirits and live? The mother's my addition. For they disciplined us for a short time as seemed best to them, but he disciplines us for our good in order that we may share in his holiness. Now, discipline always seems painful rather than pleasant at the time, but later it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness for those who have been trained by it. Therefore, lift your drooping hands and strengthen your weak knees, and make straight paths for your feet, so that what is lame may not be put out of joint, but rather be healed. I know we often picture the Savior as the comforter, and he certainly is. But I really don't think we should be too quick to just gloss over the Saturdays of our lives. The longest period between Christ's death and his resurrection was actually that Saturday. That Saturday has so much to teach us about the Lord, his love, his discipline, waiting in the silence, crying out for an answer. I feel even in our time, the time we live in, perhaps we are in the Saturday of our world. Mortality, as the world unravels, as we've seen these events and we know they're going to happen, we feel and know we are delivered from dark forces, but we still have to outlast them. So lastly, I'd like to quote a poem from Steve Garnas-Holmes, his website called Unfolding Light, who shared a verse from earlier in the week on Monday when Jesus cleanses the temple. And I would really like to set this up as the posture I would like us to walk through retroactively Holy Week together, and how this sets us up to learn going backward from Resurrection Sunday through Saturday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Sunday. And just let this sit. And as you pray for answers, perhaps you just pray for the answer, an answer from heaven. That yes, we see you. Yes, we know. And yes, we will sit here in the dark with you. So his poem is called Temple and references John 2:19. Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. Where's your temple? What do you think is essential to your faith? What do you absolutely need to be faithful? Imagine you mess it up, or God ruins it, or life just sweeps it away like a natural disaster. What if God is dead? The Bible is a hoax. Jesus doesn't come around. Church is worthless and you can't pray. Now you're ready to worship. On hurting knees, helpless, waiting, trusting. The risen one has been crucified before. They know how to do this. Just stay on your knees. My friends, in the Saturdays of our lives, let's stay on our knees. Let's stay on our knees, acknowledging that they hurt. We feel helpless, and we wait and trust. And we wait for that answer that will come, the resounding final answer that will come from the resurrected Lord on the following day. Somehow, in some way, we have to make it through the Saturdays of our lives. May you know I am with you in this journey. May you know I have the same doubts and questions and the same struggle, staying strong and staying firm and holding on to the answers I've gotten before. But that really is such a place of divine tutoring. And so I leave this message just as a way for us to sit in this Saturday, to really just sit with it and let it work its work upon us. Let heaven work its work upon us as we sit and wait in the silent Saturday of our lives. May you be accompanied by love and light in your journey. And may the Lord bless you and keep you. Make the light of his countenance to smile upon you when you cross over into the west. Love and light, my friends.
Thank you for joining us for Reflecting Light with Mandy Green. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave a good rating and share it with your friends. And remember, your light makes the world a brighter place. Share it.